Ladies and gentlemen, you are now about to be plugged in with the Uncut Live with Kenneth Clark. Yours truly. Y'all know how we do. We keep it 100 on 1000. Mind, body, soul, and spirit. Y'all ready? We about to go in. Yours truly, Kenneth Clark. What's good, everybody? How's everybody doing on this blessed day? Welcome to another edition of Uncut Live with Kenneth Clark, where we focus on mind, body, soul, spirit, faith, social issues, politics, you name it. There's nothing off the table. We talk about everything, and we go in straight all the way 100. As I always say, we keep it 100 on 1000. And so all this week, many may have seen me on my social media platforms, on Instagram, Facebook, where I changed my status. I'm actually even wearing a black suit for black justice. And so today, as the powers that be, when you are on the fight for freedom, liberty, and justice, somehow the circles connect. And you never know how the circles are going to connect. And you find other genuine individuals who have the same heart and passion for freedom and liberty.
Very much so.
So today, I'm actually let the guest introduce who he is. I know I had a chance to meet him. We was on the front lines in the trenches, and you know.
So my name is Kevin Kramer. I am originally from Wilmington, Delaware. I am a proud alumni of Marymount University. I graduated in 2018. I currently work for Dialogue Direct. I fundraise for international charities. And outside of, saving other people's lives living in different countries, I am a full-time abolitionist with the Palm Collective, which is simply a grassroots organization that simply supports the front lines in every means necessary by the power of through collective action, fighting against systemic racism to bring everlasting change. Simply believing that to win this battle that we're fighting right now, it's going to take every race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, and nationality to reshape this country and our image. But yeah, that's who we are. Well, that's who I'm a part of.
Wow. So these past 2 weeks, I have been focused on the concentration of what does justice look like. And a couple of guests that I brought onto the set. Uncut Live, I try to blend the voices and bring people from different backgrounds that work in different fields to kind of bring that diversity to the mix. And one of the judges, she's actually a judge that's running for Prince George's County seat. Why?
Okay.
So, which is new because Prince George's County needs new justice. I believe we're in the evolution and not the revolution. But that's a whole other topic,
Yeah.
But we need fresh energy and we need fresh vibes. So, but it was one thing that she talked about. I had saw her on an interview, and she had said that what she had planned to bring to the court if she wins the election is the humanism.
Humanism of what?
Humanism, like the humaneness to get back into the courts where people are not looking at a paper and they're not looking through a screen, but they're actually, she's actually wants to actually call people by their name and provide, justice in a way that where it's not, oh, well, this is just my client, but kind of keep that human interaction because it's bigger than that. I had asked the question. I said, "Well, what does black justice look like?"
Black justice, like, so for everyone, for your listeners, I keep it a bean, I keep it 100, I tell it exactly the way it is. Black justice does not happen without reparations. Because when we're talking about justice, justice means that someone is being held accountable to their misdoings, to their wrongdoings. Like they're like, we commit a crime, you're going like, you people want justice because someone did something wrong, so someone needs to be held accountable. So if we're talking about justice in the arms of Black people, Black lives, Black liberation, you guys ever seen that meme where there's like, let's say there's 4 people that are looking over a fence, okay? Mm-hmm. And then let's put racism just for the sake of it. And I put a Caucasian male, a Black male, Asian male, and a Spanish male. And it's one person has the ability, they're really tall, and they can see directly over the fence. And then you have another person, they can barely see over the fence. And you have another person, like it's getting lower and lower and lower. Now you have people that, the 2 last people can like dead wrong, can't see over the fence at all. Where people get a lot of things like equity and freedom and justice confused, is that equality, which Black people have now, which is useless. Equality, what we have now is that I presented you with the opportunity. So now here's equality. I acknowledge that this one person can see over the fence better than everybody, and they can reap the opportunities that are over the fence. So equality is I give everybody something to stand on, so that everyone can now get something to stand on to see over the fence. But I never told you what you're standing on. At the end of the day, the person that's taller, who is naturally taller, who has powers and systems in place that gives them the advantages to be taller, to see over the fence, even if I give them something to stand on, and if I give you something to stand on, I have something to stand on to look over the fence, at the end of the day, there are some people that still can't see over the fence, even though you gave us something to stand on. Equity is, now I'm telling you, and I'm being more specific, I'm going to give you a brick to stand on, because earlier I actually didn't give you a brick to stand on. I gave you a brick made out of aluminum foil. And I gave the other person a brick made out of like paper bags. I gave the other person a brick made out of like something else. And I gave the tallest person a brick. Now I give you all bricks so that you all can stand on one brick. Justice is to take accountability, that the reason why the shorter people can't see over the fence is not because they're naturally short. It's because there has been things that have been in place that have allowed them not to see over the fence. So what justice is that the shortest person is, I give them, knowing that I treated them wrongly and knowing that they've been getting the short end of the stick, I give them 20 bricks to stand on. I give the person in the middle 10 bricks to stand on. And the other person only needs 2 bricks. Why? Because that person has the ability to see over a fence. So now we're all seeing over the fence equally at the same time. But then I have to take into account, do you have the ability to even jump over the fence? Because maybe you didn't eat breakfast this morning. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't have the nourishment to have the muscle strength to jump over the fence like the person in the front. So I think that's what people get confused. And I tie this back to like reparations for Black people, or when we talk about Black Lives Matter and like the things that we want, the justices that we want, is because we want the federal government of the United States to hold themselves accountable to the things that they have done to us, which means it's the total liberation of Black and brown people. Like, without saying Black Lives Matter also equates to Black education and Black healthcare and Black housing. Like, all those things equal out the point of my life matters. Those are the things that make up my life. And we all know those 3 things I named: education, housing, and healthcare systemically have all been oppressed by the federal government of the United States. So I think justice simply means, to me, for Black people, is for the people that have been doing us dirty, to keep it a bean and keep it 100, to hold themselves accountable. And we have to hold them accountable to what they've done to us. And if they don't want to fix it, that's fine. Because I don't want to sit at your table anyway. I will build and create my own. Or deconstruct yours and tear yours down and reshape them in my own image. Because reform has got us nowhere. So yeah, I think justice simply means in the realms of Black people, if we're talking about wanting things done by the systems that are in place right now, having these systems, the federal government and everything they touch, hold themselves accountable to their cruelty, treatment, oppression of Black and brown people that has equated to the lives that we live now. Because Black lives are not our own. You know what I'm saying? Us being here today is not our own. Black dreams, Black failures, Black futures, Black ambitions, Black hopes, none of them are our own because they are all predetermined by the systems that are in place. The system that is in place is designed to function the way it functions. We are not included. So to be included, you either tear them down because it doesn't work and rebuild them, or the people that built them have to take some power away. But like we did some people dirty, like we really shit the bed. Like people are being brutally oppressed. So now I have to go back to the drawing table and like take initiative and hold myself accountable and do right by these people because we've been doing wrong by them. But that's here and there.
So I'm gonna ask this only because it's so relevant to the times of, November is like right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a whole lot of people that's discouraged with the voting.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there is, like, how do you feel about the voting?
Like going out to vote?
Yes.
You should vote. If our lives matter, so does our vote. But to vote does not mean that this thing is wrapped up. You know what I'm saying? It's not our golden ticket to justice. Definitely for this election, we've seen what 4 years of hell looks like. You know what I'm saying? So it is our civic duty in the systems that are in place to take advantage of them and use them. For me personally, like voting is reform. Since Black people were included in the system that was created, they reformed the system and gave us vote and gave us the right to vote. But we all know there's voter suppression happening all throughout the country. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not legitimate. But in the rounds of does voting work? Yes. Like you should vote all the way from your ward all the way up to the president of the United States. And they said the matter of the fact is that the stuff that you elect at the local level is more important than the federal government because they have a direct place in opposition and direct impact in your everyday life. Like we know that whoever we choose for president gets to choose who sits on the Supreme Court. You know what I'm saying? And whoever sits on the Supreme Court is there until we die. So it's really it's extremely relevant and extremely important. But that's not to say that if I vote for Biden, let's use names. If I vote for Biden, is his peers, his cabinet, the people he select going to give me the justice as I want? No, they're not. Because the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are the same wings with the same word. Like, they are the same wings of the same word, but does not neglect the fact that to move in a room full of vultures, you need to take advantage of the system. Playing our cards right, yes, you should vote. Why? Because I said how I speak upon like voting and like parties and stuff like that. The Republican Party, they don't come to the cookouts. They don't want the invitation. They don't come to our barbecues or our churches. They don't even want our vote. They're not even going to try to work or ask for it. The Democratic Party, they come to our cookouts. They come to our churches. They beg, they plead, they make all these promises they can't keep. They're like prostitutes. I literally say this all the time. The Democratic Party are like prostitutes. They come, give us what they need, and then leave us in a wet spot because they lie straight to our face. And it's up to us to choose if we're going to hold them accountable or not. But at the end of the day, speaking from an abolition mindset, there is no way for this system to ever give you what you want because you are not considered in it. If you have a house and there are, let's say, 20 people outside of your house, and your house only has one bedroom because it was designed to have one bedroom, but there's people outside starving and they're homeless and it's raining on them, so you decide to let all 20 of these people in your house, but mind you, all these people, you treat them like crap and they have to stay in the bathroom. But then you're like, okay, I'm going to reform that. You don't have to stay in the bathroom. You can use the whole house. The house is still only built. The house is still only designed to occupy one bedroom. That means we need to move on. That means we need to move. We need to build a new house that can occupy the spaces of the 20 people that just received it. And that's the same way the federal government needs to function. There needs to be a Black agenda. There needs, just like any, and I say that because we know that there are policies in place that affect Black and brown people differently. So there also needs to be a Hispanic agenda and an LGBTQ agenda, like, and a women's agenda and a homeless agenda. Like, people need to take the time to think that, oh, like, for example, immigration. We talk about immigration. I love our Latino brothers and sisters, but I know for a fact, immigration, if they sign an immigration bill, my life doesn't directly affect me, but it does directly affect the people who those policies affect. If there's prison reform in the United States, or if there's God forbid, there's another three strikes rule or some other foolishness, we all know who that directly affects. You know what I'm saying? When they give access for you to identify who you want to identify as and join the military and the army, we know who are those people that directly affect. Some bills, some policies, some politics need to be for certain people, because at the end of the day, people suffer because other people submit and make decisions on us, because the whole social contract of the United States is a lie, which goes back to the point of not being included and why it needs to be redrafted. That's why, yeah, it's a very complex issue, but at the end of the day, voting it's like the tip of the iceberg. When you talk about, like, you talk about culture, like, there's the tip of the iceberg and there's the whole bottom of the iceberg. Voting is like at the tip. That's like, when you say, oh, what's Black culture? And you say, like, soul food. Like, that's at the top. You know what I'm saying? It's way deeper than that. So, yeah, go ahead, vote. Make sure Trump don't get elected. But at the end of the day, everybody else that are supporters, or everyone else that benefits from the oppressive system that we live in, they are just as at fault as the people who enforce it.
Yeah, I see this a lot. As I'm for my viewers, for those who may replay this video or those who are watching this video, we have to continue to have these type of conversations as we are on this plight for liberty of justice. I agree. There definitely needs to be. I have such a strong passion for the homeless. Mm-hmm. In my view, when I hit office, we are going to have. I've seen that there was recently some legislation that was just passed for incarcerated lives. Mm-hmm. If you've been previously incarcerated, or prisoners reform bill where they can vote. Mm-hmm. What I'm going to bring to the table, a campaign that will give homeless people the opportunity to participate in the voting process.
Facts. Picture how many people are homeless that don't participate in the voting system because you don't have an ID or a house or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm being very honest. Like, when we speak, it's very informative for us to think that way. To think that we can create these things and systems, to create new systems and the wheels that function that are already turning that we live in. Like Bezos and everyone else that are benefiting from the system, they're at the top giving a rat's about what our lives we live in. Literally, Jeff Bezos paid 0 in federal income taxes. Last year earned $30 billion, but got a federal income tax of $104 million. How does the federal government give someone $104 million back to them when they didn't take anything from them?
You see, and that's why I'm so anti, Amazon, because I actually know individuals that work for Amazon and talk about how that they are overworked and underpaid.
Yes.
So they're working more hours than what they're actually getting paid. And when they open, distribution centers and warehouses, they hire particularly a lot of minorities when they're moving to the area, and then after they're developed and opened up into the area, they cut their hours. And then the pay that they were supposed to get when they had worked, when they came into the area, they're fighting for that. I even saw one interview, was a documentary, I believe it was Bernie, was interviewing someone who was actually living out of their car while working at Amazon. And Amazon was not giving them enough to be able to, you know, that's crazy.
It's designed this way for a reason. It's designed like do we talk about like the founding fathers and the Constitution? The reason why they said white men and own land like couldn't be able to vote. It's not because they wrote it that way because they just thought of. They believe that is their ideology. They believe that sincerely and wholeheartedly. So now we're fast forward 200 plus years into the future, and people are getting the short end of the stick. Is because there are people in place that still live and breathe those ideologies. Like there's not. Like the 1% of the United States of America account for 70% of unpaid taxes. Last year alone is $80 plus billion that could have went to God knows where, like education and homelessness and all this stuff. You know where the money is? Got sent back when Trump wrote his tax break for the rich. Amazon, Netflix, FedEx, none of them paid federal income taxes last year. So we can't. So I love when people like to sit and say like people like Bernie Sanders or people that really think very outside the box about the world we live in. Because to me, if it makes sense, I don't want it. I'm here to imagine and envision a new world, a new America. If it makes sense, it does not. It's not for me because we know it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that DC's homeless population is twice as high as the national population population in the whole country. It doesn't make sense.
Tag, right? The Make America Great Again tag, and we want to keep it.
Yeah.
And I often ask when they say Make America Great, for who?
For the people that it's meant to be for.
The elite. The people. That just don't really give a rat's.
Right. But these people are so sold into that ideology, that's how they function. You think about like, why do people that live in like bum the heck like rural America in these steel mines, like these steel mines or factory communities and factory buildings and stuff, vote for people like Trump? Half those people we're talking about, majority of them, because there's more of them on food stamps than there are black people. That's another conversation. Majority of them are on the Affordable Health Care Act. A majority of those people receive WIC. Majority of those people are on public housing. Majority of those people have food stamps. But they vote for Donald Trump and people of his nature and stature and in that party and who fit that ideology. Not because they fit into the category of it, because he reinforces the ideologies that they believe. So it doesn't matter that they're poor and Caucasian. Just like a lot of poor Caucasian people and poor and black people, they should agree on every single thing because they're disenfranchised. But due to the color of their skin and due to the supremacy of the nature of America, for me to look in the mirror and be like, I'm a disenfranchised white person in America. I am poor. I'm on food stamps. Like I live in public housing, but I vote Republican and I vote for party system that literally doesn't financially care about me. Only because if I was to not do that, I have to step out my comfort zone and give up some of my power so that other people can be treated right. Like we're talking about changing people's whole minds. We're talking about looking up at the sky instead of saying the sky is blue, the sky is indigo. And that's a lot for someone to have to take into consideration that everything I was ever taught, everything I was ever known, everything I ever known is a lie.
So it's like a program.
People have to be reprogrammed, and that's when we have allies. Shout out to the allies, the people that I meet on the front lines. It's because they are being reprogrammed. Like they're literally being reprogrammed because they know, they see it, and it cognitively makes no sense. But what we at the department minimize, and it's in human nature. If things don't make sense to us, we have to draw back to other things so we can make it make sense. No. If it makes sense, it's wrong.
Yours truly up in here with Uncut Live with Kenneth Clark. Y'all know what and how we do. We have these type of conversations because this here is America, and it's definitely some things that we need to address, and we need to reprogram, or like I say, regurgitate. Because there's a lot of stuff that we have consumed that we thought was good for us, but in actuality, it wasn't.
It's like people just think that this is how things are supposed to function because they function this way for so long. No. It literally says in the Constitution of the United States, if the system is not in place that does not take care of the people, it is the people's job to revoke the power that we give to the system. We have that right, that authority. Like we are in a social contract with the country we're living in. We're saying that it's time to reevaluate the social contract that we have with the federal government of the United States. Because whatever this is right now, return to sender, void it, because I don't want it. Like, I'm not just saying reform the police. No. I'm saying abolish the police department. Why? Not to say that people don't need law and order and we don't need protection, and we don't need people to protect and serve us. Yes, we do need that. Like, of course, when someone breaks into my house and steals my stuff or sexually assaults my kid, I need someone to call to come deal with this crap. But the idea is that the people that we call are reinforced by a racist system. Yeah. So we can't call them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that means the police department needs to be abolished. Let's go back to the drawing board and create something. It was the same thing we said we were talking about off camera. Like the parties, they don't do their job. They don't serve us. And so there's nothing wrong to be imaginary and say, let's come back to the table and create a new party system. Like that's what we're supposed to do. That is in our nature. That's how we evolve. So to sit back and just let this mediocrity happen in front of our face, like smoke and mirrors, like wolves in sheep clothing, is ignorant. To sit back and just know that, oh, this is just how life is supposed to be. No, who said?
Yeah. So those who are viewing, like I said, we're going to continue to have these types of conversations. Y'all know it is elections coming up. How is because Uncut Live covers DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Yeah. So do you know how the early voting is for DC?
No, I literally do not know. I know I'm doing early voting in Virginia because it already started. Because that's where I live. I live in Arlington. So I live right over the river. So
Virginia. So how's Virginia doing?
Literally, you can show up at the polling place and get registered and vote right there now. You can mail in, or you can go directly to there's like a website link. You can go directly to the website link and you can check your status of your voting, and it'll tell you where you can go vote. Like it's really simple. There's even a QA code. I know everyone has social media. It's literally when you log into your social media, it's the first thing that pops up on Instagram. It's like, have you registered to vote yet? If you click it, it will take you to the place you need to go to register to vote, and you can even vote online within 2 days.
This is good. Yours truly, Uncut Live. Got my pioneer right here, trailblazer for change. For the viewers, you mind telling people how they can follow you? Or
you can follow me at Kevin Kramer _ the brand as my personal Instagram. But more importantly, you can follow the Palm Collective. which is the_palm_collective. The title simply comes from the palm of our hand. Justice is literally in the palm of it, and like it's going to take a lot of work for us, y'all, to recreate this country in our image. Like, we have no time for complacency, no time to sleep, no time to like take a breather. Like, these are our moments, and we have to stand in our trials. These are our trials and tribulations. We have to stand in them. We got to stand 10 toes down if we're going to make it. Because sad to say, like he said on the national news in front of everybody, on the debate, those people, the ignorant, are on standby. So I need everyone to like come together and be ready to do what is necessary, because we have dark and difficult times ahead, and we only make it together, make it through collective action.
And make sure that you engage in your community. And the reason why I say really engage into your community is because I have always been a firm believer, and I have seen since this pandemic of COVID-19, I have probably seen more food drives from the community. Now, I just want to say this, and I'm putting this on the record. Folks ain't really need food stamps, because I'm literally and I'm heavily involved with the communities at large around the whole region. But I have never seen so many, I'm talking about food drives like produce. I have never seen so many carrots, so many collard greens, so many corn, and just, I'm talking about people in the communities, not a food bank, not a capital food bank, but I'm literally talking about.
That's one thing. COVID was a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
That's one thing that COVID did, is that it allowed, as you said earlier,